Hey everybody, this is Dr. Jesse Jackson III, best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick 'Em Out book and training series. And I want to thank you for joining me. And I'm talking to our pre-K, our kindergarten, the first and second grade, that early elementary staff, and I'm talking to administration and our teaching faculty, because what I have found is that we need answers. And particularly at that pre-K level, first grade, kindergarten, man, the business is completely changed. I have to show you why that is, because you cannot try to come up with solutions if you don't understand what has happened. And what we find out is that folks legitimately are duplicating practices that are going to lead them to the same results. Let's break this down. What is the real system of success in a school? How would I know? Over 1,200 schools touched in my life, my career, and I'm talking about in a short period of time. 1,200 schools I've been to, I've worked with, I've seen what worked, what doesn't. I've seen successful people, failing people. And the key thing that I think that we really need to get our hand on is, first, always remember, I told you, administration's 10%, so leadership will always be the master key whether a program can succeed or fail. That means leaders today are being asked to know more than ever before. However, there's very little training to get today's ed leader ready for the challenges that today's ed leader faces. Most of the challenges that an ed leader will face in pre-K will be people-related issues. We learn more about policy, and that does not help you in the equation. Now think this through. A successful school will own this. The teacher has 30% of the responsibility, the parent has 30% of the responsibility, and the student has 30% of the responsibility. But what's happening in our business? The teacher's being given 70%. The parents given a pass, and we don't hold students accountable, which means they can't grow. Accountability is feedback. Well, this means we have to challenge what you're doing. We have to stop you from your negative conduct, because if you don't, you don't grow. And that is the growth process. Accountability is growth. It's not negativity. It's growth. It's the ability to take feedback and coaching. When we don't have this in the school system, in the situation, we have destruction and unproductive conduct. What I've told you all over the course of my career, and I'm really going fast because I want to keep these videos under my 7 minutes. There's two different schools in our system. We have traditional programs which automatically assume that 80% of the families go to work and value education as a priority. So that means we're going to have parental support, and the parent is going to support what the school is doing. Those folks go to work every day. Education is a priority to them. That's the middle class ideology, middle class and working ideology. So at those type of schools, what's all that's happening? All the teacher has to do is what? Teach. That's not our reality if you're running a Head Start program in impoverished areas and dealing with the reality of what we're dealing with. That's not what you're getting. What you're getting is essentially a 3- and 4-year-old who very little's happened at home and they drop the kid off. And when you call home, see, the difference is in traditional program, when you call home, you're going to get a parent. They're going to say, what did he do? Oh, what? Wait, I'm on my way up there. We go to, all right, now we call them last chance environments. You call home, you may have a non-working number of a 3-year-old and 4-year-old and 5-year-old, which is heartbreaking because it's like, how is that possible? And then when we talk to them, they blame us. What did you do to him? You know, and then, or we might get, well, he does it at home, so, y'all work it out, because your degree was supposed to teach you how to heal unnurtured children. See, this precedent is requiring that every single pre-K, pre to second grade educator in this country be retrained. I looked at some stuff years ago before I started working with the state of New York, and years ago they were saying about 60 to 70% of every pre-K kid at that period of time, some years ago, had been suspended. And so what comes down is the suspension ban, where the government's getting involved and say you can't suspend kid. And I would probably say every state that I work in has banned suspensions from K up to 2. They won't let you suspend. So what are they telling you? You got to figure it out. They don't tell you what to do. They tell you to figure it out. What I have had is an abundance of state governments. Abundance to me is over 5. When a whole state government or someone that works for a state government education department asks you, like, hey, kind of, could you advise us on discipline and moving forward? That's an abundance. And what we're getting is one state particularly was holding conferences for all of the schools in the states, and the people that were coming to the conference protested and said, this stuff you're giving us doesn't work. That's why they called me. Why? Because I have fundamental, practical applications of how to deal with an impoverished culture. And poverty is not money. It is a different value system and a different approach to education. We have in poverty culture, you see the difference. Middle class culture, education is important. Poverty culture, it's a devalue. I don't care about this. School might not be taken as seriously. Why? Because in poverty culture, you're going to get fed anyway. The government feeds you, so there's no incentive to feed yourself. That's reality. Those are facts. That is brutal truth. It's brutal, and it's something we have to understand. So this is why it has become to where it literally looks like it's us against the parent. And until that culture is addressed, it takes courage, but it takes clarity. We're not trying to embarrass people. We're not trying to hurt folks' feelings. We have to level with people. If you say you love people as much as you say you do, you've got to level with them. That doesn't work. For example, and I'll let this video go on this. I had a parent last week in one of my schools in the South. And, you know, me and her had a good rapport. I'm out there every month. So I knew this parent because the kid is on the radar, meaning he's getting into trouble a lot. And this kid likes to hit people, and he fights. He's a fighter, right? Now, one of the things you'll see in my later videos, I really do have some very clear approaches to how we need to deal with behavior moving forward. But in this situation, this kid liked to hit. He fought a lot. The mom came up there. Well, who's telling them to do it? The mom. The little boy said, my mother told me if somebody do that, then handle it. So we get the mom up there, and the mom says, well, you know, what they doing to him? And I told him, I told him not to let nobody do nothing to him. So, and I told the mom, here's the brilliance, right? Here's the brilliance. The mom said, I told my kid, if somebody do something to him, to fight. And I said, Mom, you know what? You right. You know, I tell my kids the same thing. Here's the key. If we in the streets, if somebody is causing a threat to you, you know what you better do? Protect yourself. Just so happened today, Mom, we're at school. And when there's a problem here, you call the principal. And they handle it. Do you realize that lady that the school's telling me is a horrible parent and she's such a horrible person and she doesn't listen and all of this? Do you know, she sat there for a minute, kind of paused and says, you know what? You right. Yeah, I know I'm right. And Mom, you're not wrong. If you're giving street rules and we're out there defending ourselves in the streets, that's an animal environment. It is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. Today, we happen to be in safe space. It's called school. And if it goes wrong here, the teacher, principal's going to handle it. And guess what? They are going to handle it. That's what they're here to do. And so now I have a parent who's been giving bad ideas to her children or incomplete ideas to her children now has seen and understood what I was trying to say. So there is a process and an understanding that we must have when we work with our parents, because it's a way to communicate with them to get the results you're looking for. A lot of people think that, okay, to get parents up here, we got to give them food. Well, that's offensive. You should have food at every gathering anyway because you're a good host, not because you put food out there because that's going to get them up there. That's offensive, and you need to check yourself because that's that oppressive middle-class ideology, which is offensive. I feed people at my meetings because I'm a good host. That's how I do business, not because I get you up here for food. Not an animal or a baboon. That's ridiculous, and you need to stop it. You need to have food because you're a good host, period. So when you work with our parents and you help our parents and you also help 4-year-olds, I mean, I've had the opportunity. My life is getting really weird. I'm giving talks to pre-K classes about behaving in school. My life is getting really weird. here because this is taking on a life of its own. I never thought this would be this way. So I understand that I have to provide training in the system for admin on how to approach this, for teachers on how to approach this, for students on their responsibility, even at 4, 5, or 6, and for our parents. How do you raise kids today? What's the parent's responsibility? How do you help yourself emotionally to make sure you're healthy enough to help your kids? That, folks, is what the training process is all about. That is what has made our training one of the tops in the world, because it provides full responsibility for all people involved, and it tells you what your role is, and you have to be responsible for your role in the process. That's what we're about. Dr. Jackson here, hoping these videos are helping. It is that time of year where you got to plan training for the upcoming year, and I know our pre-K programs are really undertrained and they're not getting the help they need. If you know your staff, your district needs a boost in how to deal with these things and an ongoing training process, I will not do one training ever again for anybody. You have to commit to a training process because you want to help your staff. Now, if you don't think it helps, obviously I'll let you, that's never happened, right? You have to commit to training process because our staff needs help. At these pre-K levels in this kindergarten, they are high risk to burnout because those kids emotionally lock into them and they take their energy. So it is now our responsibility to make sure that our staff is kept strong, aware, and given the best guidance possible. And that's a process. And that is a commitment that administration has to make, or you're going to lose good people. Because we're asking them to parent an unparented child. We're asking them to stay in good spirits and show love. We have got to make sure we equip them with the tools to be successful. That's what our training program is. I have no problems with saying, I want to train your staff. I know I can do it better on this topic than anybody in the world. I know you can get the results you're looking for. And if this is the type of stuff you know you need to hear to empower and strengthen your staff for this very difficult task that we have, then you make sure you call me and contact us today. These videos are for you. Dr. Jackson here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in class.